Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. World Cup break content. I know I feel like a lot of you that probably are missing our beloved Inter already, even though we've had a difficult season by missing this crazy ass team that raises our blood pressure. Got some new swag. The Inter new training Nike training top. Took a bit of a break over the last couple of days. Wasn't feeling 100%, but as always, keep a lookout on the community tab of the channel. I'll keep you up to date with everything that's going on with the channel. Giveaways, of course, I announced first 2 giveaway winners. Once again, shout out to and congrats to Anthony and Nick for winning the first 2 giveaways on the channel, and keep a lookout on the channel for further giveaways. But anyway, let's get into today's video. It's about contract situations at Inter, the current contracts that are expiring, and the decisions that Marotta, Ausilio, Inzaghi, Bacin, all those guys have to make, whether who to keep, who to let go for free. Of course, I want your opinions down below on who you guys would keep and who you guys would sell or let go for free. Let's go. So here is the list of expiring contracts that we have this summer in June 2023. Skriniar, Dzeko, De Vrij, Darmian, Gagliardini, Handanovic, Kordas, DD33, and yes, he's still there, he still exists, Dalbert. But of course, we'll start off with the most important one right at the top. Il mio capitano anyway, Milan, Skriniar. We know Beppe Marotta has been talking about the Skriniar situations publicly, pretty much in the pre-match to every single game, whether it's the Zone, whether it's newspaper. He's pretty outspoken in this term that he is confident of getting a deal over the line. Today, Gazzetta dello Sport, as translated here by Sempre Inter, did come out with a report that as early as today there could be an agreement. I doubt it. I don't think it will be that soon, but I'm expecting something to happen in this World Cup break. As Gazzetta says, today there are plans for a potential video meeting or a video call with his entourage. His representatives are currently out of Italy, whilst the player is scheduled to return to the country on November 24th, so he is on holiday. Accordingly, pen will not be put to paper before then on a new deal. However, the Nerazzurri are hopeful that they can get all the details wrapped up on the contract extension before then. And we know around about the details of the deal. We'll be talking about the 6 million euros net per season, plus bonuses, probably taking him up to 6.57 million net range, which is what the top earners of this team are on, which are the Brozovic's and Lautaro Martinez of this world. Some people are saying they'll put the armband into the deal, the captain's armband. I don't think, as far as I know and what I've understood from previous dealings, I don't think that is part of the package. At the moment, as things stand, the captaincy is given by seniority, and when Handanovic hasn't been there and Brozovic is there, it usually goes to Marcelo Brozovic. I don't want to speak too early and too soon. In the summer, just like many Interisti, I wasn't confident about him staying. I thought PSG's 8-9 million net offer was good enough to turn his head finally, because he has been very, very loyal to us, but it wasn't in the end. PSG didn't stump up the money that we wanted. Once again, it looks like maybe Skriniar is showing, once again, he is rejecting potentially an extra 3-4 million net wage packet if he went to Paris. So again, showing a sign of loyalty and commitment to this club. But I don't want to speak yet. Let's see if this happens. But of course, I am praying for this to happen. If this does happen, I've said it on the channel before, I will buy an Inter kit from this season with Milan Skriniar 37 at the back, because I usually never get names at the back of the shirt. But I'm ready to commit to Milan Skriniar if he commits to Inter. Next on the list to discuss is Edin Dzeko. Baba Dzeko, who has been putting up numbers recently, has been carrying Inter on his old back. And Beppe Marotta was also asked about this after Inter's win against Atalanta, and he admitted that we want to extend Dzeko's contract, who deserves an extension. And again, I was saying on my post-match reaction, I've been also, if you asked me at the beginning of the season, I was like, nah, whatever happens, you cannot renew Dzeko, we need to move on. But the way that he's performing, the way that he's stepping up, the way he never gets injured even at his age, and if he's willing to reduce the salary, I think it makes sense to have him on as that third, fourth striker option with his experience. And he was asked by Marotta around, do you think this could end up like a Perisic situation, like how Perisic ended up leaving us at the end of the season? He says, I don't think so. He has demonstrated that he wants to stay with us. He deserves a contract. He's a great professional and is attached to the shirt. Like many older players, he has a vision for scoring goals. Our desire is to renew and extend, but the player has to also expressly state that he wants this. So it seems like at the moment, Dzeko hasn't committed or said, whether he's renewing or not, which is important. We don't know. Maybe he wants to retire at the end of the season. Maybe he wants to go over to the US, have one of those last big pay packets before he retires, which of course he deserves as well. So let's see how this one develops. But I'm not against the Dzeko renewal anymore for sure, as long as he does reduce his salary. Next up, Stefan de Vrij. Oh my goodness, this one is a tricky one. This is a complicated one because, he's a player that I don't think Interisti dislike. He's a likable player, and we know that he's a quality defender, or used to be a quality defender, but he isn't as high quality anymore. And according to reports as translated here from Sport Mediaset in Italy and reported by FC Inter News, Inter are not too keen on renewing his contract. Actually, Stefan de Vrij has recently changed agent. He was on the Mino Raiola agency kind of roster, but there's reports that he's switching over to Pastorello, who was Lukaku's agent, and he's an agent of many former and current Inter players. So he has good relationship with Inter, his agent, but his performances at the moment are definitely not speaking or demanding a new contract, so to say. According to this report, de Vrij has wanted to start negotiations, but these requests went unanswered. And he is one of the higher earners in the team in terms of his salary, 3.8 million net. So it's very tricky, as I said, because he definitely cannot get more money than he's on already. He's already, before Skriniar's renewal, he's earning more than Skriniar, which obviously afterwards, if he does, Skriniar will earn more than him. He has to really and truly be reducing his salary, but of course at his age, he's 30 years old or 31. He probably want another last big paycheck, so he's unlikely to be accepting those terms. But really and truly, as I've been saying for over a year, he isn't good enough to be the starter centre back at Inter. I don't mind them to be a backup. The Acerbi arrival hasn't really changed that. It's kind of 50-50 between him and Acerbi in terms of starters at Inter. But unfortunately, Inter's financial situation means that, okay, we let de Vrij go for free, but then you have to spend money and salary on getting his replacement in. Can you get someone as good or as experienced as de Vrij? Probably not. But at the same time, I think it's time to maybe take a gamble on a younger profile. We know we need faster, younger, more athletic centre-backs if we want to play the football that Inzaghi does ideally want to play. I've always said, I think the move is to move Skriniar to the central of the three positions. The central centre-back, move Skriniar there, and invest in another right centre-back to partner Skriniar and Bastoni. Next up, we'll discuss the twins, because Darmian and D'Ambrosio, they really are like footballing twins. They're so similar, just steady, reliable, versatile players, never a word out of place. Love them both. Once again, according to Gazzetta, Inter are keen to renew both, especially Darmian, who he has been one of the best signings of the last few years for sure in terms of his cost to performance ratio, right up there as one of our best signings. In my opinion, both of them should be renewed 100%, especially Darmian, as he is younger than D'Ambrosio. Both of them, funnily enough, call them twins, but they also earn the same salary. Both earn 2 million net. I think probably D'Ambrosio, if he does want to stay on, he may need to reduce the salary further. Darmian probably can keep it around the same. Probably a 2-year contract for Darmian is what I would say, taking him up to 33, 34 years of age, I believe. And D'Ambrosio maybe just a 1-year extension and see how it goes the year after, just because he is kind of like a dressing room captain, so to say. Who else is there? Roberto Gagliardini. Oh, his contract is finally expiring. It felt like this guy he must have had like a 10-year contract or something. It feels like he's been here forever. There's no rumors of any contract renewal talks, or Inter being keen, or even Gagliardini being keen to renew. It's probably about time that Bobby Gags splits ways with Inter, returns to probably the level he should be at, mid-table. And apparently there are a few requests in the mid-table, lower table teams. He deserves more playing time, but he can now have that at Inter. I think it's finally time to move on from Gagliardini. Moving on to our team captain, Handanovic. Of course, he signed an extension last season, but it was only a 1-year extension. Now he has or looks like he has become Inter's number 2 goalkeeper. Does he accept that? Not so sure. There's rumors that he still wants to be number 1, whether it's at Inter or whether that's elsewhere. So that'll be interesting to see whether he decides to retire, go into coaching, or continue playing elsewhere. But I personally would not renew his deal for 1 more year. Although, of course, he is a great dressing room captain and, great figure at the club. But I think it's time to move on. Alex Cordas, you guys know the third goalkeeper, always just as it was before with Tommaso Berni. Cordas is kind of, the mascot, kind of the meme player of the dressing room. He's useful for the UEFA list, because he was an Inter youth player, so he's helpful with lists in terms of that. If he's happy being the third goalkeeper, he's on low salary, around 300k or something, renew him. Not too much to talk about there. Dalbert, I don't want to even talk about that. Do not renew Dalbert. I do not want to see him at the club again. Him, João Mario, we need to cut ties with that banter era that we used to have. He's also coming back from a big ACL injury, so, I don't think he's even going to get any offers in January or anything like that. So it's time to cut the cord from Dalbert 100%. To finish up the video, there's a couple of things I want to discuss in terms of their expiring contract, but because they're loans. So we've got Lukaku, Bellanova, and Acerbi. Acerbi, first of all, reports have come out that Inzaghi is keen on Inter signing, of course, his Lazio boy Acerbi, who has performed well. You can't deny that he has performed well since he's come in. We've got him on a loan with option to buy. The option is on around 3 to 4 million euros. Honestly, that's too expensive for me, even though it's only 3 or 4 million. But for Inter, if we can get him, if we can further negotiate it down with Lazio to 1 or 2 million max, then I would do it. But otherwise, no. Again, let's try to find younger, better replacements to look towards the future rather than going for these older guys. He's 34, he's going to be 35. Let's move on. Bellanova is a tricky one. He's on loan with the option to buy from Cagliari. We paid around 2 to 3 million for the loan, which is kind of expensive for a loan of a young player. So it says that Inter probably are looking to take the option to buy. If they did take the option to buy, I think that takes the deal above 10 million euros. I can't remember the exact figure. But I think the same goes for Lukaku and Bellanova, actually. It's the same situation. It depends on what happens in the second half of the season. Bellanova has been, I believe, the outfield player with the least amount of minutes up until recently when he's got a few more minutes. He's not got any starts apart from the Bayern Munich, friendly game that we had in the Champions League. I'm sure he's probably not too happy with the situation either. And he, as Inter fans, we have been calling for him to get a little bit more playing time, especially with how Dumfries hasn't been performing too well this season. So I think it depends how much Inzaghi or how much prospect Inzaghi sees in Bellanova, and it doesn't seem like he does see much. So that one I probably don't see Inter taking the option to buy if things continue as they are. With Lukaku, we know what the deal is. This guy, first of all, needs to stay fit. If he can stay fit, then we can talk about it at the end of the season, whether we want to renew his loan deal with Chelsea, because we know we pretty much have an option to renew the deal once again for next year. But he is the highest earning player in the team. He definitely hasn't earned that money, it's due to his fault, because of the injuries. The loan itself was quite expensive as well, 7-8 million just for the loan. I've always said I would not take Lukaku at my team after the age of 30 because of, his physicality, his athleticism is what makes him stand out. And as, his age goes up, his athleticism will go down. And now even the injuries are starting to ramp up. So I'm probably not too keen to renew that deal next season. But again, it depends how his World Cup goes and how, most importantly, if he stays fit and performs well and scores goals for Inter in the second half of the season. But yeah, that was my thoughts on all the contract situation, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Who would you keep? Who would you let go? And of course, as always, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Keep a lookout for World Cup content coming, guys. There will be a World Cup Fantasy League with, of course, a little prize for the winner, as we're doing for the Serie A Fantasy League. Marcus Thuram, I'm doing a video on Marcus Thuram and why Inter should be signing Marcus Thuram. One of my, scouting report videos that I know people enjoy. And of course, any breaking news regarding Inter, you will be seeing it on this channel. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Always, Forza Inter.